Have you ever found yourself in a place of discouragement? Maybe you found yourself in a place of such discouragement that you're asking the question, what's the point? Why am I even trying? And you maybe found yourself wanting to give up on that dream, that desire that God put in your heart. And guess what? I've been there, and I can tell you that anyone who is even found success, whether it's in their finances or in their family and their fitness, in any area of life, if you go and you ask someone who has already found success in that area that you had been working towards, or you're still hoping to find success in, they too will tell you that they have found places of discouragement. I geek out on things like leadership development and business growth strategies and stuff like that. So I listen to a lot of podcasts and read books on those subjects. And what I found interesting is that over and over, I've heard from all of these quote unquote successful people, and they disclose of how many times they wanted to give up. They found themselves in places of discouragement, not just one time along their journey towards success, but over and over. It's part of the journey. So why is it so important that we talk about discouragement? Well, I believe because if we don't understand how to deal with discouragement, what to do when it comes, not if it comes, but when it comes, then we can find ourselves stuck by discouragement. So if you are feeling stuck in life, if there's an area of your life where you just feel like you've lost all momentum and you're not moving forward any longer, this is a great place to do a checkup, to ask yourselves, is there some discouragement that's set in and causing me to kind of let off the gas, to maybe just even subtly give up, even subconsciously in some ways, to not really press forward and go forward in life because of discouragement. Sometimes it could be in the area of maybe relationships. Maybe you're working really hard on your marriage, and your marriage is not where you want it to be. And it seems like no matter how hard you work to try to please that person or try to communicate, the communication is just not happening, and there still tends to be tension. When we get in places like that, we can be discouraged really quick. Or maybe it's an area of business. It's a business that you wanted to try to build, or a career that you wanted to pursue, and you're finding yourself stuck. You're not moving forward in that area, and maybe you're feeling discouraged. I know it wasn't too long ago, just a few years back, I had a project that I was really excited about. It was a business venture that I felt like was going to be really good and have a bright future for myself and for my family, to find more financial freedom. And I invested a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of focus on this project, only months in to find that it was going to be a dead end, that this project was not going to lead us where I thought it was going to. And when I had that reality, when that reality set in, I can tell you, I found myself discouraged. In fact, I'm pretty sure I vegged out in my bed watching Netflix for a day or two after that, because I was so discouraged. And in fact, I think I was maybe even on the verge of some depression. And that's one reason this is so important for us to understand how to deal with discouragement when it comes, not if it comes, but when it comes, is because discouragement left unchecked can lead to a really dangerous and unhealthy place of depression. And if you've ever experienced any depression, it is such a horrible, dark place to be. So what do we do? How do we deal with discouragement when it comes? Well, I love this verse, Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. You may be familiar with it. It's what God said to Joshua when Joshua was being mandated with leading the Israelites into the promised land. And this is what God said in verse 9, Joshua chapter 1. It says, "This is my command, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged. for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And I wonder why Joshua, this great leader that we read about, had great victories. Why did he need God to come and tell him that, to give him even a command to be strong and courageous, to not be discouraged? Well, it was probably because Joshua was probably facing some discouragement. Can you imagine being almost in some ways overnight, being passed the baton to lead over 1 million people into the promised land, into being a nation? And also Joshua, he had some pretty big shoes to fill, right? Moses was the one that was passing the baton, and no doubt Joshua was probably looking at himself and thinking, man, I'm just a soldier, I'm a servant, I'm no great leader. I'm not Moses who stood on the mountain and talked with God face to face. Who am I? No doubt Joshua was probably facing a little bit of discouragement, or at least some temptation to be discouraged about this new responsibility. But God told him to be strong and courageous. Courage is in the word discouragement, right? To discouragement. And so the opposite of discouragement is courage, and it maybe even strength, is this passage alludes to be strong and have courage. Why do we need strength? Why do we need courage? Because we need those things to move forward in our dreams. To be successful in life, we've got to maintain strength. We've got to maintain courage to take action for those dreams and not become discouraged that wants to steal our courage and strength and keep us stuck. And so when we find ourselves in a place of feeling discouragement, what do? Joshua 1:9, what did God say? God encouraged Joshua that the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. We need to remember when we're in a place of discouragement that we're not alone. Maybe you feel alone. Maybe you feel like you have no strength. You've given your all. Well, guess what? God is with you, and He is still strong. When you feel like it's all up to you and you have nothing left, He's the one who wants to come in and fight your battles for you. It's not your battle to fight. It's not your success to be achieved alone, but it's kingdom success. It's the success that God desires for you and desires to help you find and achieve. Discouragement ultimately is in our mind, right? And that sounds even a little bit dismissive, discouragement. It's just in your mind. But the reality is it is. Yes, we are faced with scenarios and circumstances around us on the outside of us, but ultimately discouragement is a heart and mindset position that we find ourselves in because of what's happening internally in our mindset. And so when discouragement comes, again, we need to remember that God is with us. And how do we do that? One way is through thanksgiving. Practice regular giving thanks. And when we choose to give thanks, and what we're doing is we're choosing to see the good, to find something to be thankful for, to set our minds on the things that are good. And then secondly is to declare what's possible. To remember and declare what is possible. Even though you're faced with this discouraging circumstance, you find yourself in this place that's kind of dark and seems and feels hopeless, but we need to remind ourselves that all things are possible with God. Again, it was God who was going to lead Joshua and the Israelites into the promised land. It wasn't ultimately in their strength. They just needed to be in obedience and move forward with God. So if you find yourself discouraged today, my prayer is that you would find hope, that God would give you grace to reset your mindset, to know that He is with you and that with Him all things are possible. You don't have to be stuck. You can find strength and courage today to pursue your dreams and find success.